This series goes all the way back to the Big 8 days. And one of the closest and strangest finishes, 1991. 19-all tie. Nebraska has a chance to win in the closing seconds. Watch the snowballs coming out of the stands toward the Husker kicker. Colorado fans trying to help out their team. And the kick was blocked. I guess it worked. Last year in Lincoln, Nebraska was aided by a 57-yard field goal by Alex Henry. This time, no snowballs, thank you. Nebraska is led by their defense, and particularly defensive tackle Ndamukong Suh. Most scouts say that Suh will be taken in the top 3 picks in the NFL draft. But which team's offense can work the most consistently? That's the biggest question. It's an after-Turkey Day drumstick from the Big 12 Conference. It's Nebraska, Colorado, next. Welcome to college football, presented by Kay Jewelers. Today featuring the Nebraska Cornhuskers and the Colorado Buffaloes from Folsom Field in Boulder. And here come the Buffs. Everybody, Ron Franklin along with Ed Cunningham, and welcome to an absolutely wondrous day here in Boulder, Colorado. Let's cut to the chase and get one story taken care of, and it says in the Denver Post this morning, the headlines, "In Hawk We Trust." Dan Hawkins is going to be back as the head coach of the Buffaloes next year. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I think from a program level, this was the right move. When Dan Hawkins was hired, they said they'd give him 5 years to try to turn this thing around. He's only had 4. So I think this was the right decision for them to keep their word. Then, as far as making the statement this morning that he's back, I think it was huge for today's ball game. Of course, Colorado not going to a bowl game, so this will be like a bowl game. And these players do like Dan Hawkins, and I think getting this out of the way is a really good idea for the outlook of this game for Colorado.
Let's talk about the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and everything in Nebraska this year starts with defense. They are the only team in America that has had 3 National Defensive Players of the Week.
And it started, of course, with Ndamukong Suh, as most things do for Nebraska defensively. That monster game against Missouri on a Thursday night in the rain really got on the national radar. And then because of the double teams that Suh started having, Jared Crick has the huge game against Baylor, and then, of course, the wonderful game by O'Hanlon against Oklahoma. So they've got a bunch of frontline guys. Carl Pelini, the defensive coordinator, Bo Pelini, his head coach brother, 2 of the finest defensive coaches in the country.
Offensively for the Huskers, it's been kind of like this at times. They have sputtered, but Roy Halou, the running back, is now healthy. All the difference in the world.
Yeah, they were trying to find anything. Sean Watson, the offensive coordinator, told us it was like the Apollo 13 mission. They were spreading everything out on the table trying to get these guys home. Now they have Halou, one of the best backs in the Big 12, healthy. He's going to pound it 25-30 times today.
Surrounded by beauty and the mountains here in Boulder, we got college football coming up. It's Nebraska and Colorado coming up next. Head coach Bo Pelini, he's been preaching to his kids all week. We've improved, but we're not good enough to take anybody lightly or overlook them.
Well, especially they are going, of course, they won the Big 12 North last week against Kansas State, so they're going to play Texas next week for the championship, but they're not good enough in Bo Pelini's mind to, quote-unquote, rest their starters like he used to do when he was in the NFL as an assistant coach. They have to make incremental gains each game, and he feels that way strongly about today.
Kunonic will kick it off. Buffaloes won the toss, and they have elected to go on offense. They did not defer. So Kunonic kicks it off, and the way the wind is blowing today, it's swirling in the stadium some, but the wind is to his back. And this is a high spinner that's going to go into the end zone 2 yards, and Lockridge will return it. And Lockridge will not make it to the 20-yard line. Time for the quarterback profile and a closer look at Tyler Hansen.
Young man who had his red shirt pulled last year when he was a true freshman midseason. They were trying to redshirt him again this year when Cody Hawkins, Dan Hawkins' son, was struggling against Texas. They put him in the game, gave him a little bit of spark. More of an athletic guy, but let's not forget last week against Oklahoma State, injured his right thumb. X-rays were negative. Seemed okay during practice, but if he starts struggling, maybe we'll see Hawkins come off the bench again.
Well, Nebraska pretty tight at the line of scrimmage. Nebraska does send, or Colorado sends a man in motion. Hansen to throw on first down. He's looking for the tight end. Now he's going to put it on his hip and run, and he'll pick up about 6 yards on the play. Here are the impact players for Colorado.
Rodney Stewart had a hamstring injury earlier in the year. Good, tough runner, little guy, but he pounds for extra yardage. Ryer Gear, senior, playing his last game here, has become a big part of the play-action package at tight end. And Marcus Burton, a big 265-pound middle linebacker, had a forced fumble last week against Oklahoma State. He'll need to do that today, I think. Some turnovers, I think, will be necessary for Colorado to get a short field.
Lockridge fakes to him, and the pass overthrown. And had a receiver wide open and just overthrew McKnight. McKnight looking for 10 receptions if possible today to become the new all-time leader for the Buffaloes receiving. And Hansen just too tall on that one.
And you see right away.
You think it's bothering him?
Yeah, you know, that maybe was a little miscommunication. It looked like he and McKnight were talking to each other. I think Hansen may have expected him to run that route a little deeper.
Well, the blitz picked up nicely. Hansen gets it away, and it's thrown out of bounds. And the hat came flying, and the reason for that, if you were watching LSU Ole Miss last week, the receiver had gone out of bounds, and it has to, you throw a beanbag or a hat, one of the two. So it's going to be 4th down as you look at Coach Hawkins.
And I think he has weathered the storm around here, the hot seat that he has been on all year, very well. He has not lost his positive demeanor, continued to work, and I think fought through it pretty well.
DeLallo to kick. He's a left footer. Niles Paul runs into his own man and is not going to go more than about 5 yards. 38 on the punt and 7 on the return. And you got to give one of the Huskers credit for making the tackle. So it's time now for the quarterback profile for the Colorado Buffaloes. And the first look at Zach Lee.
And we talked about at the open how they were putting in a bunch of different pieces in this offense trying to get some running game going. Remember, Cody Green came in and started 2 games, the freshman who's more of a runner. But Zach Lee has calmed down. It's more about managing the game and not putting your defense in a bad position, because they do run a really conservative offense now with this defense.
Hello to tailback. They fake to him. Pass thrown complete to the tight end, Mike McNeil. Mike, of all the tight ends, and they have a group of them, is the man that is most active and they throw the football to most. Impact players for the Huskers of Nebraska are
Niles Paul is the down the field receiver. They will go for him on some play action fakes. Mike McNeil, who we just saw, has been a big beneficiary of the run game, getting him more involved in the play action pass. And Alex Henry, who of course kicked the 57-yard school record last year to put Nebraska up, also now their punter and very good.
Hey, Lou. I'll tell you, he's offset. He'll pick up a couple of yards. He's offset with his stance now at almost 8.5 yards behind where the ball is being snapped.
And they've tweaked the up-front blocking schemes a bit as the season has gone on, become more of a straight ahead. They're not trapping as much. And this offensive line has started to gain some confidence. Of course, when you have a guy with a vision of Helou, it makes you look awfully good. You don't have to hold your blocks as long.
So it's 3rd down. Line to make is the 43-yard line of Colorado. Blitz coming, delayed in the flat, throws it complete, and that is enough for the first down to Brandon Kinnick. Ed, how about your game plan for the offense of Nebraska?
Well, it's not very mysterious, but they're going to need to pound Helou, probably over 25 carries, I think, before this is all over. Don't forget Rex Burkhead, the freshman, is back. McNeil and Paul off play action. We've already seen them trying to set that up. And, of course, the safeties for Colorado, not very fast. They have to stay put. They cannot start coming down too much in the run game, or else Niles Paul is going over their head.
Helou bounces it outside. Got one block, but going to be hauled down at the 35 by Benjamin Burney, a senior out of Lone Tree, Colorado.
And Burney, a young man that they moved to, remember that disastrous defensive outing against Toledo back at the beginning of the season where their safeties just looked bad in that game. And they took Burney, a guy who's been through a lot, 5 different surgeries, and they needed some speed, so they took him from corner and moved him to safety. That was a good open field tackle.
Second down for the Huskers. First series of the afternoon for them offensively. Buffalo's had one, and it was 3 and out. Play action here. Lee going to try to run, and he's going to be sacked. Hit behind the line of scrimmage at the 40-yard line, and it's another senior, Marcus Burton, out of Channelview, Texas.
Here's Burton right here, just coming on a straight blitz. And Zach Lee saw this. That's a double blitz where the linebackers follow each other, and they can only pick up one of them. And Burton, who played a really nice game against Oklahoma State, key guy in the middle, especially when they're going to get pounded. And here you are at that 40-yard line. I would think some type of draw or screen for Nebraska here.
Third down, line to make is the 29. Burton, by the way, is one of the captains for this afternoon's ball game. Blitz off the corner. Being hit and going to be sacked again. This time it's Benjamin Burney. And Nebraska has a player shaken up. One of the offensive linemen is still down.
That's DJ Jones, who's subbing for Marcel Jones at right tackle. But a nice blitz off the corner, and Burney goes unblocked. That's a blown protection. Either Zach Lee thought that the safety was going to be picked up, or there was somebody that blew an assignment there. But he ran free, and Zach Lee needs to know that.
Alex Henry, place kicker and punter, kicks this one for the sideline, and he has to because of the strength of his leg, and it is touched dead inside the 5-yard line. So there is no score. Nebraska and Colorado. This rivalry has provided some classic games, and when we come back, you'll see the first of 4 that we'll show you today. Number 2 Colorado defeats number 3 Nebraska on their way to claiming the Big East Conference title and a share of the national championship with Georgia Tech that season. So we are back, and look at the field position for the Buffaloes. The 2-yard line. Henry's kick headed out of bounds and touched dead by one of the Huskers before it reached the end zone. So they'll keep it on the ground in the running play. A little bit of space now out to around the 4. Let's go to New York and John Saunders. John?
We're on the Sports Center right now, presented by Best Buy. As we told you earlier, Tiger Woods was injured in a car accident after his car hit a tree and a fire hydrant. News is now he was taken to the hospital but has been released with facial lacerations. Alabama facing Auburn today, and Auburn had a 14-0 lead till Trent Richardson goes in from 2 yards out. Auburn still leads it 14.
Well, in case you're wondering where that is, Buffalo Herd is located within sight of Interstate 70. You can see the cars going by just west of Denver.
Where the buffalo
Wonder if that's where Ralphie goes after her run.
I don't know. It's a wonder that some students have not gone out there and put headgear numbers on the side of those buffaloes.
Well, Asante is on the bench and is up, and in the lineup is P.J. Smith. Third down and short, and a flag comes in.
Yeah, there was movement on the right side of the
Boy, I'll tell you, one of the things.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, number 77, 5-yard penalty, remains.
That's a huge
third
mistake.
down.
This is an oft-penalized Colorado team, and that seems like a small thing, but that's not small right there. You've come all the way out from the 2-yard line.
And the way Nebraska had lined up, there was a huge gap over the left side. I would assume they called a quarterback sneak now, and it looked like they could have just walked for the first down, gotten out of the shadow of their own goalpost, and now they're in a situation where I think you've got to throw a screen or something, a wide receiver screen. I don't think you want to sit Hansen in the pocket here, because with this pass rush, you could get a safety.
Looking. Gonna run it, caught from behind, and the tackle is made by Turner. Barry Turner, the senior out of Antioch, Tennessee, and that is short of the first down. So taking an opportunity for a short first down away from yourself, it's just not good business. They've already punted to Nebraska earlier, and they got field position inside the Colorado 50. That's like 20-foot putts. You just don't make a living on those things.
No.
Delano's kick, not going to turn over, but That left-handed spiral coming down at the 45, and the tackle is going to be made right there. Excellent coverage. Niles Paul on the return. So we'll take a timeout. Still no score, and we'll get to see the Huskers again on offense. So we are back and explain what we're looking at here on the sidelines.
That's linebacker coach Brian Cabral, and he is from the islands, so he wears a lei and a lava during every game. It's a tradition he's had for several years.
Well, we'll see if it brings them luck. Nebraska this time not across midfield, but about 4 yards from it. So Colorado on 2 punts has given the Huskers really good field position. Blitz coming off the high corner, and the hit is made from right there. And that's a really nice play by Chappelle Brown, another one of the seniors. He's from La Puente, California. And a lot of people really doubted him when he came in because he's so small. But he started for 4 years now.
And when you talk to Ron Collins, the defensive coordinator, who early on is showing his hand, he's going to bring pressure from his secondary right now. Nebraska not knowing where these guys are coming from. But he said of all the seniors, this is the guy I'm going to miss the most. He wasn't supposed to be good. He is 5'7".
46 starts. Yep. 46 starts for him. Pitch back. They run it into the boundary, and Alou hit behind the line of scrimmage. Again, it's Chappelle Brown as they hit flip sides. Speaking of the corners, and he's right there to put a stopper on Nebraska again. Now it's 3rd down, and the line to make is around the 44-yard line.
Well, watch how physical Brown is on the edge here. Watch this inside receiver. He's going to go out and try to put a block on Brown, and Brown just chucks him, headbutts him, and goes right to make a tackle. That is a tough guy. I think Brown's going to get a shot, even as small as he is, at the next level because of plays like that.
8 snaps, 5 total yards because of the 2 sacks for Nebraska. They're showing blitz again. This time off the near corner. Flag comes down. I think, it's going to be delay of game.
Yeah, Hickman, the center.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
And just like Colorado, Nebraska's offensive line has really struggled with penalties. And that Hickman, you get the silent snap count, meaning you look between your legs, and when you get the signal from the quarterback saying he's ready, you pull your head up. There's a certain amount of time that goes, you snap it. And he never saw that Lee was ready to take the snap and got to delay a game.
3rd down and 18. Lee, quarterback draw. Boy, he gets smacked down hard again. Chappelle Brown with 1, 2, 3 tackles. I know he had to have the other 10 as well, but I'll tell you, when you look at the play-by-play on this one that comes from the official score, they're going to say it was a one-man army out there. Small army in size, but a big army in heart.
He's a one-man 3-and-out crew.
I'll tell you, here's a guy, though, that can flip the field. Henry with his punting. And look at this kick. In this altitude, all the way back to the 3-yard line. And the tackle gets by one. He's going to be stopped at the 7. We had talked, it should have been let go. But Henry has become such a weapon for Nebraska. Well, ESPN2 has 2 college football games tonight. First of all, it is number 9 Pittsburgh against West Virginia. That's called the Backyard Brawl. 7 o'clock Eastern Time. And then at 10, it is Nevada taking on number 6 Boise. That one begins at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. College football primetime on ESPN2.
And both of those games may have some outcome on the BCS. Of course, Pittsburgh, with only 1 loss, go to play Cincinnati next week. And then Boise State gave up almost 300 yards to Fresno State rushing earlier in the year. Nevada, the best running team in the country.
58 yards on the punt by Henry. So put a little asterisk by that one because the defense of Colorado did a good job. Ball is fumbled as it was handoff into the line by Stewart. Never really got the handle on it. And he is extremely fortunate that he made his own recovery.
I think that was a bad handoff by Tyler Hansen. Looked like he may not have put it down in his midsection. No, that's a drop. That's a drop ball. And you know, the other day in practice when we were out there on Thursday, Stewart had trouble handling it. He had trouble fumbling earlier in his career. He had 2 costly fumbles and a loss to Iowa State. So he has had some struggles handling the ball. That's McKnight in motion. And they use him
almost like a little trap play. He's blocking inside, and Ndamukong Suh, they're not booing, but he is the man who made the tackle. Let's take a look at the game plan, Ed, for Colorado.
Well, they need to move whatever quarterback is in there, Hansen or Hawkins, move it around. You can't stay in the pocket. Double team Suh every time. Don't let him take over the game. And for Nebraska, stay safe in the secondary. They play a matchup type of zone. No real reason to take a bunch of risks, because I think the only way they get beat defensively is a couple of long balls over their head. So stay safe in that secondary.
Dean in motion. Pass is thrown complete, and the screen up the sideline. He's going to make it out to the 15-yard line. It's Rodney Stewart. That was a little dicey there for a moment. There were red red and white colors all around the football and the quarterback.
Well, the one thing when you're studying film of Ndamukong Suh is how much recognition he has. He knows right away that this is a screen, but he's gone too far, so he can't go and chase it. But he was timing his jump, and Hansen did a nice job of throwing it around him. Otherwise, that ball would have been batted down.
DeLallo with the punt. And again, about the same scenario. Caught at the 42, right up the middle, 50, 45. Hang on, he's gone. 20, 10, touchdown, 59 yards. Niles Paul, Nebraska.
Flat kick. That ball came off of DeLallo's foot a little funny, kind of drove a little bit, and they had a perfect middle return. And you hear the crowd here. This is there's a lot of Nebraska fans here.
So that was a Colorado ball that had been punted, and the official had to come to the sideline and now get a Nebraska football, if you wonder what's going on. Like putting a new baseball in play, but they had their own, and they're named. Their school names are on them. Extra point attempt by Henry is up and good, and just like that, 7-0. The Cornhuskers on top. We'll be right back. So, same scenario 3 times, 3 and out for the offense for the Buffaloes, and 3 kicks that were just nothing to write home about.
And very flat kick by DeLallo, and that's how this whole game started. It was a back and forth punting game, and he made a mistake.
Ball is muffed at the 1-yard line, now picked up, and Colorado is going to take over again inside their 10-yard line. Brian Lockridge. John Saunders, let's check with you in New York.
Ron in the Taco Bell studio update. Alabama fighting back against Auburn, down 14-7. Greg McElroy, 33 yards to Colin Peak. He takes it in for the touchdown, ties the game at 14, and Alabama's about to kick a go-ahead field goal.
Okay, John, our situation here in Boulder, weather is beautiful, but the situation for the Buffs has not been. They have scrimmaged deep in their own territory the entire afternoon, and this is the 4th offensive series. Brian Lockridge comes into the ballgame at tailback, along with Rodney Stewart, and now Nebraska wants to call a timeout. 7-0, Nebraska. Bo Pelini in the middle of that group, and that's Carl Pelini in the black hat and the black jersey. He is the defensive coordinator for the Huskers. And they have to really like the situation that they've been in. Alex Henry has just kept the Buffaloes with their backs to the wall the entire first quarter. We got 3:27 to play in this opening quarter. Quick out pass. Better get on it. That's a backwards pass. And you can see, well, the official is saying that it was not a backwards pass. Not going to argue, but I certainly, boy, when it looked like it.
It sure did. It sure did. And with review the way it is, if it's close, they're supposed to let things like this go. Let's see, he's on the 3.
Can't tell from this angle right here.
It's awfully close. Awfully close. The official waved it off fast enough that he must have seen clearly that it was forward.
Rodney Stewart, the lone setback. Blitz coming off the corner. Picked up nicely. Pass thrown way too far and incomplete at the 30. Andre Simmons, the intended receiver.
And you are now in a position for Colorado. Your defense is playing pretty darn well. I think you have to think about 6-7 yards here. Not that you don't want the first down, but give Hansen maybe a quarterback draw. He's a good runner. You've got to start getting some field position back for your defense that's actually playing really well at the start of this ballgame.
Yep, they are. But they're Hansen is now 1 of 5 for 6 yards. Line to make. You got to take it out to the 19-yard line. Nebraska leads it 7-0. Hansen. And a little touch pass in and out of the hands of the receiver, Devaney. One of the seniors. He is out of Roseville, California. Came here as a quarterback, and in fact had the game winner against Texas A&M, a touchdown pass.
He was getting some extra work before the game with his quarterback. After everyone broke in, they were still working. But here you are, DeLallo again, punting from the F. He's been standing on that thing a few times.
This is a 4th punt in the first quarter, and we have 3:08 to play. This is a better kick. Spiral's going to turn over, and Paul on the run. Lost it for a moment and is pushed out of bounds, but still at the 44-yard line. Nebraska has simply not witnessed anything deep in their own territory. Now, the Colorado defense, as you said, Ed, has been playing very well. Here's some of it.
And a lot of it is on blitzes. That was Burton on a blitz, then Bernie on a blitz, then Chappelle Brown, who had all 3 tackles on the last 3 and out. There he's making a tackle there when Zach Lee comes out. But Ron Collins, the defensive coordinator, he's dialing up a lot of run blitzes so far.
Number 22, Rex Burkhead, a freshman out of Plano, Texas, comes in at tailback. He wears number 22, 5'11", 200 pounds. And he will get the handoff. He has been injured and has not been healthy enough to really help the Huskers, and is now back. And of course, with Halu now healthy, they are in a much better situation running back wise.
It was a big deal in the middle of the season when Halu hurt his shoulder at about the same time that Burkhead hurt his foot, and they were all the way down to their 5th string tailback. Dontravius Robinson had to come in and play, and he was 5th string coming in at the beginning of the season. So that Burkhead and Halu back for the stretch run going to the championship, pretty good deal.
Little play action. They roll the pocket and dumps it off in a short pass to Kyler Reed. And Reed's not going to get very much. And again, the defense of Colorado, folks, is playing very nice football against a team that is that's highly favored in this ball game. But the situation with 3rd down, well, let's just see what happens here.
Well, you need to find number 44, Mike McNeil, if you're Colorado, because he's the tight end for Nebraska, lined up over to the right in the slot. He's been the guy that they've looked at almost every time in these situations.
Play clock is down to 3. Blitz coming off the corner. Over the middle. Ball is caught. Nice pass and a nice catch right there by Niles Paul. And that will move the sticks. 1st and 10, Colorado.
Nice job, Sean Watson, that time. Mike McNeil went to run the out cut, and then right behind him came Niles Paul. So they crossed up the defense a little bit, and a really well-thrown ball by Zach Lee. This ball's thrown on time and accurately. Now, you can't throw it much better than that.
You know, and a nice job by Paul. He felt the defender on his back slowed down enough so that he'd have a chance to catch it. Legate into the ball game at fullback, number 48, redshirt freshman from the state of Nebraska. And they hand it off to Burkhead. And he will take it for about 3 yards around the 38-yard line.
And this is a young man that Nebraska's very excited about. Last 2 years in high school, he had over 3,500 yards rushing and 89 receptions. So he's good between the tackles. He's got good vision, good power, but he can also break out and catch the ball.
Jeff Smart making the tackle. He's another one of the seniors, and he could walk from the stadium to his high school and be there in about 4 minutes. It's Boulder High School is just right down the street. Jimmy Smith also helped out on that last tackle. Burkhead has an opening, breaks a tackle inside the 30, still pushing the pile, and he goes to the 24-yard line. That's good for 14 yards. Ray Polk defensively for the Buffaloes.
Well, if you're the Texas Longhorns, you're starting to say, okay, now Nebraska knows who they are. I think in the middle of the season, after those consecutive home losses to Texas Tech and Iowa State, they really lost their way. This team has a really good idea of who they are offensively, and it's straight ahead running.
Right now it is straight ahead to the second quarter, 10 seconds down to 9, and Nebraska not even contemplating running another down in this first quarter, and that is it. We are through the first 15 at a timeout on the field. 7-0. Nebraska leads. Well, the Colorado cheerleaders, thanks, guys and gals. We appreciate it very much. Good look at Zach Lee, the junior out of San Francisco, 6'2", 215. And they scrimmage with a 1st and 10. You can see the line of scrimmage just inside the Buffalo 25-yard line. Burkhead, the lone setback. Going to go to an open receiver over the middle. Caught. Touchdown, Nebraska. Ben Cotton.
Well, when you see this big of a formation, you don't expect a play-action pass. You expect a run, and Ben Cotton got loose on a post, and that was another nice throw by Zach Lee. He has really grown at the end of the season. Let's make sure he had this. The ball did come loose there at the end. But, yep, he had it as he crossed. The ball came out after the touchdown. Another wonderful throw, though. Zach Lee seems to be in a pretty good rhythm right now.
Now a discussion with the officials.
The previous play is under further review.
Well, from the first look, it seemed he had possession as he crossed the goal line.
Well, the ruling on the field is touchdown, and we get another look at it right here. Ben Cotton right there. And it appears that he has secured the football there.
Yeah.
Then when he hits the ground, the ball comes out.
And the trailing defender, Jimmy Smith, does a nice job pulling it out, but he had possession. I think that's a touchdown. Of course, Ben Cotton, his father, Barney Cotton, is the offensive line coach for Nebraska.
Here you can see the time of review at the top of the screen to let you know how long this is in fact taking.
Shouldn't take too long. It looked pretty clear to me. Indisputable video evidence. Looks like it is a touchdown.
Coach Pelini asking anybody in stripes close by, you really do think that what's going to happen is it's going to stand what was called on the field? And he's smiling, so Bo doesn't seem to be too concerned about it at all. Although we're now at 1 minute and 12 seconds into the review.
But this is, again, Sean Watson was a couple weeks ago when we had them for the Oklahoma game talking about how they really had to reinvent themselves offensively. They just weren't sure who they were. They had all of those injuries, including their offensive line. And now, now it looks like we're going to get the call here.
After a further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
But what Sean Watson is now going to, because they are going to be a run-based offense the rest of this season into the championship game and then whatever bowl game they get after that. Now they're starting to get some of these big bodies in. Mike McNeil. You'll see a couple different guys. Kyler Reed, Ben Cotton, Ryan Hill, who had a touchdown against Oklahoma. When they bunch in, now they're going to get the pass game out of that.
Henry, the extra point attempt, and Brett Mayer, also a punter, is the holder, number 96. Kick is up and it's good, and our new score is Nebraska 14 and Colorado nothing.
Buffalo Wild Wings presents the top 30 plays of the last 30 years. 27-point underdog Appalachian State took a 2-point lead with seconds remaining, but 5th-ranked Michigan lined up for a game-winning field goal. The Mountaineers' shocking win was the first ever for a Division I FCS team over a ranked Division I FBS team. Follow the Top 30 Countdown all season long. Brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Appalachian State, by the way, was the two-time defending FCS national champion when it defeated Michigan. And you can see play number 6 revealed tomorrow at 3:30. And by the way, one other piece of information about that, Appalachian State won the national championship that year as well for 3 straight for them. Here's the kick. Henry, and this thing here is going to go, good heavens, out of the back of the end zone. So this man is a weapon. Big thing for the Buffaloes, third down and maybe less than a yard, and an offensive lineman moved, and the whole sequence started. I mean, everything. Now they've had 4 straight 3-and-outs.
You at the top of the show, you mentioned that this goes all the way back to the Big 8.
Yeah.
That's what this feels like. This feels like Big 8 football. Nebraska, make no bones about it. This is an old school program. Great defense, turnovers, kicking game. And when you have a guy like Alex Henry, this guy, you cannot say enough about the kicker punter for Nebraska. 3 punts inside the 3-yard line in the last 2 ball games.
So the Buffaloes from the 20-yard line go straight ahead with the running play, and it's going to be good for about 3. Stewart, the ball carrier again. Interesting that they continue to run him into the middle of that huge defensive front. And Stewart is only 5'6", 175, but they have throughout the season been able to move the football with him going between the tackles. And that's what I was talking about. 3 plays, 4 times and punting. One of those punts was returned by Niles Paul. Demetrius Summer into the ball game at tailback. Here's a pass caught at the 29-yard line, close to the first down. And that's Ryan Dean, sophomore out of Poway, California.
Look at that average start position. Alex Henry just has been masterful punting. Of course, he had the wonderful Nebraska school record 57-yarder last year against Colorado. Under 2 minutes left to put him up 33-31, and then of course Adamakin Suh had the interception return for a touchdown to close out the game.
And this is the farthest that they have moved the ball down the field is their own 29-yard line. Straight ahead with the quarterback sneak, and everything's in order, and it's a first down Colorado. And listen to the crowd. I guarantee you, as hyped up as this crowd was when this game started, had they picked up that first down when the lineman moved, I don't say they would have scored, but I think they would have moved the football, and the sequences would have been different.
Well, and there's obviously a split of opinion around these parts about Dan Hawkins and his team as well. Of course, at the top of the show, we talked about Hawkins being retained at least through next year, so this crowd wants to see what they can look forward to next season.
Fake to McKnight, and they throw the screen to the near sideline, and that is good quick pursuit. Sumler is caught immediately, and a gain of maybe about 3 yards. And now it's time for the Aflac trivia question. This is a good one for here. What year did the original Ralphie make her first appearance? We'll be back with that answer a little bit later. If you're from this area, you probably have a pretty good idea. And if you're not, stay tuned and we'll let you know. In fact, we might even show you some footage. In fact, I know we will, of the original Ralphie and how it looked then. Hansen, play action, now throws in the flag, and that's McKnight trying to make the catch and hold on for a first down, and he came down right on the marker. Got to be a first down, Colorado.
Well, Scotty McKnight has been the guy, the leading receiver 3 years in a row now for Dan Hawkins. And credit Cody Hawkins, Dan's son, for recruiting Scotty McKnight. He went to his dad. He played with Scotty in a camp over one summer in high school, and he said, "Dad, you got to get this guy here." They brought him in as a walk-on, and 3 years in a row now that he has led this team in receiving.
Play is under further review.
Now they're going to review the spot because that looked like a clean catch. Well, you can review both, the spot and the catch, but that looked like a good catch. And McKnight looked like he might be limping a little bit.
Hey, punt return! It's under review!
Looked to me like a good spot and a good catch.
So the ruling on the field is pass is complete, and
well, Now the thing is, his knee on that shot looked like before he had complete possession, it looked like it may have slid out. But because the ruling on the field was first down spot and a catch, you have to have indisputable to overturn that. I don't know that it will be indisputable. Let's take a look here. I think he caught it. And even if you have a question, remember, it has to be absolutely indisputable that he didn't catch it. But the spot looked good, too.
So it's 14-0. The Cornhuskers on top. The play under review. You can see the...
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It is a catch and first down, Colorado.
So again, a confirmed.
Which means that the video showed that the call was correct.
Yeah, and for people that don't understand that, and also for people, you got to keep in mind, if there are lots of reviews, don't point the finger at the 7 guys that are out on the field officiating. There's a replay crew up here is the one that is either taking the time. At that time, they were extremely quick and good. As the handoff, the tackle made by Crick on Rodney Stewart. Now you can see the size comparison as Stewart came walking back after the tackle was made. He doesn't even come to the edge of the shoulder pads of those huge defensive linemen, Sue or Jared Crick either.
Yeah, these fans of Colorado, though, remember a short back that helped carry them to the national championship in Eric Bieniemy back in 1990. So they like him short here.
Hansen now gets it away, and the ball is intercepted. I think the ball got tipped. Gomes is the man who will make the interception.
His arm got hit right as he was releasing the ball, and I believe it was Philip Dillard.
Yeah, Philip Dillard is the man, 52.
Watch right here as Dillard goes to finish. He hits the elbow, the ball comes out.
And Sue was right there as well.
Yeah.
So one more look. You can see his arm being hit. Turnover, Colorado. We'll be right back. Nestled in the Rocky Mountain foothills, there stands a symbol of nature's unparalleled majesty. Red Rocks is a geologically formed open-air amphitheater not duplicated any place else in the world. Starting positions for Nebraska. Their own 47, their own 46, their own 44, and now at their own 48-yard line. Running play, Helou puts a head down and just muscles his way for 7 yards as he takes it to the 45. Benjamin Burney making the tackle. We've talked a lot about Burney and the things that he's done, but besides his accomplishments, also the 5 surgeries that you mentioned, he also was a 2-time all-academic athlete in the Big 12 Conference.
And that's one of the reasons Dan Hawkins is being brought back. There is no question what Dan has done off the field with academics, running some kids off when they got in trouble. He's run a good program from that standpoint. No 2 ways about it.
Time now to answer the Aflac trivia question. What year did the original Ralphie make her first appearance? And the answer is 1966. And here it is.
Well, when you watch at the beginning of the game, they have it down to more of a science now because
all these people on the field, and she's going crazy. I think it's that silly little hat they've got on her.
Well, you try to run an animal through what they see as a wall, it's probably going to be resistant to that. That thing doesn't know that that's paper.
Lee fakes the pitch, and he throws the short pass, and that's Cotton again, and it's going to be a completion of about 3 yards. Defensively, that's Tyler Alice who will make the stop for the Buffaloes, number 58, sophomore out of San Bernardino.
All the players around Nebraska talk about Zach Lee after that disastrous Iowa State game where Nebraska had 8 turnovers at home and lost 9-7. Really changed his demeanor. More relaxed, having a little more fun, and you can just see he seems to have more command than he did earlier in the season.
Chappelle Brown now has 5 tackles in his first half. This is Helou still driving. I think they're going to say forward progress around the 33-yard line. Benjamin Burney and Anthony Perkins, the 2 safeties, combining on the tackle on that play. So now for the Huskers, again, they really have not had any stress on them as far as field position for this entire ball game, and we have 9:15 left to play until halftime. Got to take it to about the 29.5-yard line. Here comes the blitz off the high side. Gets his pass away, and it is incomplete at the 5-yard line, intended for Niles Paul. And it's going to be a 4th down. And now Henry, this is going to be a field goal attempt. Before the ball game, both kickers for Colorado and also for Nebraska were kicking field goals that were 55, 57, 58 yards with almost ease. This is into a little bit of a breeze. It'll be a 50-yard attempt by Alex Henry. He had the 57-yard record kick last year against Colorado. Plenty of distance. And wide right, no good. So mark it down at the 8:54 mark of the first half. Nebraska finally did something wrong. We'll take a timeout. Huskers lead it, though, 14-0. And we are back, and not a happy thing to think about just one day after Thanksgiving here. Colorado's offense, 19 snaps today, and they have not crossed midfield.
When seeing this defense, and we saw Texas last week in person against Kansas, I am really excited. Even though Texas A&M played great last night, Gerard Johnson played wonderfully. I'm excited to see these two defenses, Texas and Nebraska, go head-to-head, two of the very best in the country.
Rodney Stewart, the tailback. This does equal the best starting point that they've had at the 33. Stewart. I'll tell you, for a little guy at 175 pounds, Dillard makes the tackle. That's tough sledding with those big tackles. Well, Saturday night, ABC and ESPN2 deliver 2 full national games. Notre Dame will take on Stanford, and Georgia will take on number 7, Georgia Tech. That is tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. ABC, HD, and ESPN2. 8 o'clock Eastern Time.
Sorry, Ron. I'd like to see Colorado start using a little misdirection, trying to get some things bounced outside. I know you want to keep pounding, so maybe you can set something up, but they're just not getting much in the middle here.
Pass caught at the 40-yard line, and then really tagged was Marcus Simas. And he didn't catch a pass in the first quarter. Just didn't have an opportunity. He was suspended the first 2 ball games of the year, so we did not see him in that Toledo game.
Nebraska defensively right on the spot, but Simas is such a good add to this offense because they only had McKnight and Gear. Now you add in another guy. You have 3 people now that the defense has to worry about.
Hansen looking, got it complete, and that'll be the first down at the 45-yard line. Scotty McKnight.
And you start paying this thing forward a little bit. Of course, the news this morning with Dan Hawkins is going to be back at least through next season. And you start looking at some of the youth on this team. Scotty McKnight, a junior, he's been the leading receiver 3s in a row. This offensive line, which frankly has not played well this year, you've got to assume they're going to get better. And defensively up front, they were very young, and they got better as the year went on. So I think the future a little brighter than what people may think.
Reverse. Lockridge broke a tackle and then knocked out of bounds at around the 43-yard line. So there you go, across midfield for the Buffaloes.
First time, right?
Yeah, first time, and this crowd is loving it. I mean, they were really pumped when this ball game started this afternoon, and the offense just, well, they kept starting so deep in their own territory that they didn't really help themselves a lot.
A little bit of a spark. Lockridge gave them a spark last week with that 98-yard kickoff return against Oklahoma State. So,
well, and Simas also is a young man that he has really been going well with what he has been doing. That's the first gain of 10 yards plus on the afternoon. Sings it complete, and the Buffaloes are in business. Inside the 25-yard line, Scotty McKnight. 158 catches coming into this one.
This is not an easy catch because it is thrown right. You can see O'Hanlon right there with shading his eyes. McKnight, it took him a moment to find that ball because the sun was right in his face. Nice throw by Tyler Hansen.
Crowd now up and making some noise here at Folsom. From the 21, handoff straight. 15, at the 10. Cuts it inside at the 5, and it'll be first and goal. Colorado with the 3. Alfonso Dennard makes the tackle for the Huskers.
Well, right when he got here as a true freshman last year, they gave him the moniker Speedy. Because at 5'6", 175 pounds, he is quick. He's got good vision. Cuts this back. Good blocks on that backside. And the outside linebacker didn't close it down quite enough. Almost gets the edge.
Asante got caught in traffic there. He was coming up to make the tackle and picked off by the Buffaloes. First and goal. You can see the line of scrimmage is the 2. Somewhere is the tailback. Want to throw it. Touchdown Barons. Jake Barons, a senior out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And on Seniors Day, that is a huge player catch.
Going to layer gear deeper into the corner of the end zone. Dillard bails out to get him and gets caught in the middle, and nobody picks up Barron, who had slipped out from that kind of H wingback position. Good call by Eric Kiesel, the offensive coordinator.
Eric Goodman to attempt the extra point, trying to make it a 7-point ball game. And he does. 14-7, our new score at the 5:39 mark. And as we go to break, one more look at this touchdown pass caught by Jake Barons, a senior out of Cedar Rapids. You see number 41 right there, just across the end zone line. Touchdown Buffs. Well, Colorado-Nebraska duel to a 19-19 tie as Nebraska blocks Colorado's 41-yard field goal attempt. You see all the snowballs and even an orange coming out of the stands, and the block of the kick as the fans tried to help out with a few snowballs. Tom Osborne walks out to talk with Coach McCartney. 19-19 tie. We did that ball game in 91. We had done a Thursday night game up at Colorado State on Thursday night. It snowed like the dickens there and snowed like the dickens here as well. And these sidelines are so tight to the field, they had no place to take the snow, and there was very little room to run out of bounds, quite frankly. Goodman to kick it off. Now this one's going to be 8 yards deep, and Tim Marlowe says, nope, let's don't mess with this one. Time now to take a look at our Pacific Life game summary.
It's the 2 quarterbacks, and we saw Cody Hawkins over there working with Tyler Hansen. He's really been a good backup guy since he was benched in that Texas game. And Hansen, that one interception, he just got a little lazy in the pocket. Against a defense like this, you have to know the pocket's going to close. He got his arm hit, and you look at Lee's numbers, this is exactly what Sean Watson and his offensive staff want. We don't need big numbers. We need you to be efficient.
So the worst starting position for Nebraska today. They're only their own 20-yard line. And this is Helu squeezing through a hole for about 5 yards. B.J. Beatty making the tackles. Been out the last 2 weeks. Beatty had a concussion that he received not in the ball game but on his own practice field.
Yeah. It's amazing when you go back last year, Colorado had 220 player games lost to injury. And then they come in this year. They're young at their defensive line. They're inexperienced at their offensive line. So it's been a tough back half of last season and this season as well. But I think bringing Hawkins back was the right call.
Short drop. Gonna run it. Nothing. Back to the line of scrimmage. Maybe even a loss of a half yard. Nate Bonsu out of Allen, Texas, a true freshman, making the tackle. His ball club won the state 5A championship last year on the Lone Star State.
And he's a young man again, true freshman. You can see he's got plenty of size, but just going to get better and better as he goes along in this program. And this Colorado defense played pretty well so far tonight, Ron.
Hey,
this afternoon.
They have not been the problem. There's no question about that. One of these touchdowns that Nebraska scored was a punt return by Niles Paul. 3rd down. Looking. Got a man. The ball is tipped and incomplete. A little too high for Niles Paul, although the coaches are going to say should have caught that one.
Yeah, that was a wonderful read by Zach Lee. When Paul comes in, so Pelly, the middle linebacker, got between him and the ball, And, you've got to catch that ball. Zach Lee did a great job. He clutched it because the linebacker got in his window. He did throw it a little high, but that's a catchable ball.
Alex Henry standing back to punt, this time from his own 10-yard line, and McKnight is the deep man for the Buffaloes. His two-punt average is 51 yards, and this one right here is going to improve it. This is over McKnight's head, and it's going to go out of bounds inside the 15-yard line. I know he's missed a field goal today, but, folks, this guy is a doggone weapon. He has flipped the field. It's at the 13. John Saunders, let's check in with you in New York.
Ron, coming up on the Capital One halftime report, we'll update the status of Tiger Woods, who was in a car accident today, plus the Iron Bowl.
And we'll revisit Colt McCoy's big performance from last night in a win over Texas A&M and discuss whether or not it was enough to help him win the Heisman Trophy.
It's all coming up on the Capital One halftime report.
So, Buffalo's take it over. And the running play is going to be out across the 15. Rodney Stewart tackled by Pierre Allen. And we're just talking during the timeout about Henry and what he could do. A 62-yard boot, they're going to say officially there. So his average will get even better. And, most of the times kickers are not necessarily drafted. They're picked up free agent, but place kicker and punter. And he's only a junior.
And he's good at angle kicking, getting that ball out of bounds inside the 10, and most guys in college can't do that.
Hansen, ball is dropped, and probably a pretty good thing that it lost yardage at the 15-yard line. Amukamara making the play. Prince Amukamara, a junior out of Glendale, Arizona.
And one of the guys that was recruited by the previous staff, Bill Callahan's group, switched from wide receiver over to defensive back, and Carl Pelini said when we moved him over, he wasn't quite sure he could be an elite guy, but they have big plans for him. Had that great interception return to the 1 against Oklahoma.
Cameron Meredith into the lineup, number 34 for the Huskers. He is a redshirt freshman and has really shown well. Pass thrown right to the defender. That's O'Hanlon, and he will take it in for the touchdown. Did the receiver ever turn around?
No, never. Marcus Seamus was the intended receiver. O'Hanlon was just sitting there reading the eyes of Hansen the whole time, and Hansen will lock in on some guys, and he did that time. And O'Hanlon just sitting there, and watch Seamus run right behind him. It's like he's going into block. I think Seamus may have thought that was going to be a screen over to the left, and he was supposed to go in and block O'Hanlon. Bad miscommunication.
Extra point attempt by Henry is up, and it's good. So of the 21 points that Nebraska has this afternoon, one a punt return, now an interception return by O'Hanlon, who was one of those national defensive players of the year. So the Cunningham cam, which was shot, and this one is up in Lincoln.
Yeah, well, we were up there for Oklahoma. We were walking through, and we saw the life skills department, so we wanted to know what that was all about.
Coach Osborne speaks to them on leadership. This week, we have people coming in talking about money management, just simple budgeting. It's a big issue on a college campus. Relationships, social networking sites.
Well, it's mandatory from what we found out from him, and all freshmen have to take that course. Everything from how to do a bank account to making the adjustment from high school to college.
And a lot of schools do that, but usually it's within the academic department. But Dr. Osborne thinks so much of that.
They get no credit for this one.
But they have to take an entire class for a semester. And, I go back to when I was in college. Can you imagine how helpful that would be for a young student coming in, having to manage your time with what amounts to almost a full-time job in athletics and all of the things that go into it? I really commend Nebraska for putting the resources behind a department like that, and they help them beyond college too. They help them with resume building and how to go out and interview. It's a great program that they run at Nebraska.
Konata prepares to kick it off for the Huskers, now on top again by 14 points. Lockridge, the deep man, and he's going to let it sail over his head. John Saunders, you got more on Auburn, Alabama, understand.
Well, Ron, Auburn has yet to trail in this game. Second half now, Chris Todd hooks up with Darvin Adams. It covers 71 yards, and the Tigers jump in front 21-14.
And we are back. So Auburn giving Alabama a headache today, 21-14 right now. And of course, that's being played down on the plains in Auburn, Alabama.
And how interesting does it get for the national championship if Alabama loses today and then goes and beats Florida? You have 2 one-lossers in the SEC. Do they drop down and a TCU or Cincinnati become a part of the conversation? I think they would.
Hansen this time under center. Hands it off to Stewart, and there's not going to be much going right there as he runs in the direction of Sue. Sean Fisher made the tackle. Here's a look at the BCS standings.
So everybody's sitting around waiting to see what happens with Florida, Alabama, and Texas. Of course, we had Brad Edwards on last week in that Texas-Kansas game, and he had a really interesting point. If Oklahoma State were to lose to Oklahoma tomorrow, they're out as an at-large. It looks like if they win, they'll get one. So then the Big 12, the only way they get 2 is if Nebraska wins the Big 12 championship and Texas gets an at-large, but that knocks Texas out of the national championship game.
That's McKnight in motion. Play action. Nice job, and they throw it back to McKnight. 30-35, and out to around the 38-yard line. That's a pretty good lick right there. In fact, the defender had to bear the brunt of it. And Asante, I think, is down. Is that Asante who's down? No. O'Hanlon. O'Hanlon is down this time. Asante got some cobwebs on a collision earlier back in the first quarter.
And this was Asante. O'Hanlon comes in to hit late, and Asante already has the ball carrier, and they have a collision.
Yeah, so it's 2 people you're taking on at the same time. Here it comes right about here. So the hit is not just the ball carrier, but also the defender who is forcing the play. And you can see O'Hanlon getting completely spun around. O'Hanlon, the young man, of course, we talked about off the top of our telecast today with 3 interceptions, and the game against Oklahoma was the National Defensive Player of the Year. Nebraska's had 3 of those this year.
And that's what I thought. They're doing the squeeze test on that left elbow. It looked to me like his left elbow may have caught the helmet of Asante as he came in there.
Well, he's getting up and going to come off under his own power, which is always a good thing. We've got 2:30 left to play in this first half. Nebraska 21-7. And the Buffs would sure like to tack on another 7 to go in at halftime down by only a touchdown. P.J. Smith comes into the lineup. He is out of River Ridge, Louisiana. Played at John Curtis High School, a high school that has sent over the years a lot of kids into Division I football.
And now for Colorado, good field position, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, 3 timeouts. You can be pretty comfortable. You don't want to be slow, but you can be pretty comfortable with what you're doing here offensively.
And again, he is under center rather than taking it from the shotgun. Play action, looking, wanted the screen pass, couldn't get it. Now Hansen's going to run, and a flag is down in the backfield, and he's shoved out of bounds at around the 48-yard line by Gomes. Steinkühler with good pressure for the Huskers.
Yeah, it looked to me like Barry Turner.
On the offense, number 78, 10-yard penalty. First down.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, from listening to his microphone, that wind may be a little bit stronger down on the field than we had anticipated or thought it was. It wipes out a 10-yard gain. I mentioned Steinkühler and the pressure. I mentioned Cameron Meredith just a moment ago. These are 2 young redshirt freshmen that Carl Pelini just thinks the world of, and they bring them in without any reluctance whatsoever because they really, the production doesn't drop off in.
And marked down another big penalty against an offensive lineman. Remember that Gibbons jumped earlier on that 3rd and 1 down deep.
Stewart hit hard as he goes across the 32-yard line, and Dominican Sue is right there to make the hit.
Well, if there's any doubt when Nebraska is good, it's good for economies all over the place. This answers that. Look at all of the red around this stadium, and you heard that Sue. He is so powerful. 2 guys blocking him, fights off both of them to make the tackle. You cannot move him out of there. And that's,
well, you know, he's so disruptive. We saw the hit by the middle linebacker Dillard along with Sue that caused the errant pass and was intercepted by the Huskers. Hansen. Ball is tipped as he throws, and guess who? Baker Steinkuhler, the young man we were just talking about. Of course, his father is Dean Steinkuhler, who was an All-American offensive lineman for 2 years for Nebraska and went on to play for the Houston Oilers in the NFL.
And because of the incomplete pass, look at Sue going over there trying to get another interception. Remember last year he had that interception.
He scored in this ball game.
Yep. Off a tip pass by his buddy Zach Potter.
So it's third down. Line to make is just across the 48-yard line, and Stewart will run it. Going to be caught by the ankles and takes it back to the original line of scrimmage, and it's Cameron Meredith who will make the stop.
And a nice timeout there by Nebraska. You get to fourth down because of the penalty. But let's go back and check out that play. Just unbelievable. After the 57-yard field goal, the place is electric. Zach Potter bats the ball, and watch the stiff arm. This is what was so impressive.
Now watch this. He almost misses the ground with it. He tries to spike it, and I've never seen a ball that you throw it to ground and almost miss. Watch the direction, the trajectory when it comes out of his hand. Well, we don't see it. Okay.
But that was a nice catch, a good run, and he just seems to be able to make plays like that all of the time. And he just has such an awareness about him, but he is so powerful. He's one of those rare guys who does not have to put a lot of weight on his hand when he's in his stance to fire off to make sure he doesn't get pushed back. He can actually squat back a little bit, read the offensive line, so that now he can play both sides of that offensive lineman. That'll be such a key for him at the next level.
You know, the most important thing, I mean, it says Ndamukong for Heisman, and that position, it simply never happened. Not to say that it shouldn't one day, but the biggest thing, not really a concern, but the only thing he needs to be worried about and not concerned at all, and that's the draft. And that's when you'll find out how much respect people have for him. So here's Diallo with the kick, and the left footer. Not a good kick. This is going to be a wobbly spiral caught at the 26-yard line by Niles Paul. 35 yards on the kick.
And again, I think that was a really good timeout use by Nebraska. 51 seconds. You still have a timeout. And with this thin air, I think your 40-yard line of Colorado is your goal. So 20... call it 33 yards to pick up before you're in Alex Henry territory, and I'm sure he'd like another shot at it after missing that 50-yarder earlier. Yeah.
Burkhead is back in the ball game at tailback, number 22, the freshman from Plano, and he's got a fullback in front of him, and that's Tyler Legate. Play action, going to go on top, looking for Paul, and as they battle for it, incomplete. And that's Jaleel Brown, the junior out of Phoenix, who had the cover there. You know, the young man we have not talked a lot about today, that as we look at it one more time, and the ball is tipped nicely by Brown just as it's coming to his hands, and that's Jimmy Smith. And Jimmy has had two back-to-back really good games against Nebraska. An interception return for a touchdown 2 years ago, and in Jimmy Smith last year on a fake field goal, they pitched the ball back to the kicker, and he intercepted it with 58 yards for a touchdown. Then they're going to keep it on the ground. It would appear they're just going to try to run the clock out.
I think that Bo Pelini saw that ball down the field and saw Brown almost make the interception, walked up to Sean Watson and said, hey, coach, let's get to halftime. Now, Colorado with 3 timeouts.
Because last year, after the fake, Bo was not real happy. They're looking to get 3 points, and it was a distance job. And all of a sudden, here goes Jimmy Smith the other direction, 58 yards for a 7-point difference. 14 seconds down to 13. And, yeah, play clock and game clock, they're going to make it. They head toward the locker room, and we are at halftime.
Little surprised that Colorado wouldn't burn a couple timeouts there and try to get a punt, maybe a block or something to change something around.
So 21-7, our halftime score. The Huskers, let's go to New York. And here's John Saunders and Jesse Palmer.
All the people say, Cat 5. Let me hear you say, Cat 5. What? Give me what you got till you hit that spot.
You're watching college football presented by K Jewelers, where our score is Nebraska 21 and Colorado 7. Looking down on the sideline as the Buffaloes kick it off. And this is going to go 9 yards deep into the end zone. Glad to see in that shot there the number 33 was doing a lot better. Matt O'Hanlon, who was injured back in the first half. First half, what do you think? Nebraska only has 89 yards, but they got 21 points to show for it.
And Colorado is their own worst enemy. A flat punt gets returned for a touchdown. Receiver doesn't know what he's doing. Quarterback throws it right to O'Hanlon. He returns it for a touchdown. So now, defensively for Colorado, they've played well. They just need some help from their special teams and offense. And I think offensively, they've got to go back to some misdirection and move Hansen out of the pocket some.
So Lee will give it to Halou. And a very short gain on the part of the Cornhuskers. I want to show you a graphic that pretty well sums up what happened in that first half. Key first half plays. Paul, 59-yard kick return, punt return. O'Hanlon, 20-yard touchdown with an interception. And Henry, 3 punts, averaging 55 yards a kick because 3 of those went inside the 20-yard line. One of them at the 3.
And he is the Big 12's leader in punts down inside the 20. Just has a really good feel for placement punts.
Burkhead into the ball game at tailback. And he resets. He comes forward a couple of yards, which always means pass play, and that's what they got. And that is Drew Young. Normally, anytime you see that running back step up, he's looking to pick up to help out the quarterback at a throwing plays. Take a look right now at the Pacific Life game summary halftime stats.
Well, you mentioned that 89 yards, and again, Colorado has not played bad defensively. But it's the average start that's been the difference. A couple of penalties on the offensive line on a 3rd and 1 down deep in their own territory. And Henry early on just continued to give Nebraska great field position advantage.
Well, for the I formation, broken play. The backs, the fullback and the tailback went to the right, and the quarterback, Zach Lee, went to the left.
And he got twisted on the pile.
Chappelle Brown. Boy, he's getting up limping.
His leg is going to get caught underneath as Chappelle Brown falls right on it. And boy, that was and Lee is now down. He has taken a knee, so you would expect that Cody Green, the true freshman, who started 2 games, is going to come in and maybe go to more of a running type offense.
So it's a timeout for the injury. 21-7 Huskers. On number 3, Nebraska survives a 33-30 in overtime. Eric Crouch will score from the 1-yard line for the win against Colorado. This in 1999. 33-30 the final in overtime. Well, into the ball game, Cody Green, and I wouldn't be surprised now if they really kind of get conservative. He's a running quarterback. He's not a throwing quarterback. And with 2 healthy running backs and Halou and also in Burkhead, you know, get out of here and get ready for next week.
Well, and it looked pretty. Zach Lee got tangled up pretty bad on what looked like a broken play. And I said before we went to go to a run-based offense, they are run-based. I mean a quarterback run-based offense, because I think you're exactly right, Ron. You've got a guy who isn't quite the thrower Zach Lee is. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't throw it but a few times in the second half now.
Blitz coming off the corner, and there was a movement on the offensive line. So not a surprising thing. Cody Green, new quarterback, new cadence. And Buffalo's trying to turn up the heat a little bit.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, everyone except the center. 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
All right, that's the key right there. Everybody moved except the center. And meaning the center didn't snap the ball.
Right.
Here's a closer look at that injury to Zach Lee, the quarterback for the Cornhuskers. Wow, that leg really gets tucked in underneath him. That's the reason he's on the sideline. And we'll try to get word, but I'd be surprised to see him back in this ball game. Quarterback draw, and Cody Green, nothing. Going to be 4th down and punting time for Nebraska. Harad makes a stop.
And I think that one of the biggest reasons, even if Zach Lee is over there and he can walk it off or they can get some ice and get some swelling out, remember they are in the Big 12 championship game. And so there's no reason, if he's healthy, to try to hurt him even more when you've got Texas on the horizon next Saturday.
Now let's see if Henry can continue where he left in the first half, averaging 55 yards a punt. Scotty McKnight is the deep man for the Buffaloes. Now this one is not going to turn over, so it's much shorter. McKnight from the 28, returnable. Turns it upfield across the 40 to the 42-yard line. Well, ABC Tuesday at 9, 8 Central. TV's funniest doctors are back, and they're teaching a whole new generation of eager young minds. ABC Scrubs. New class, new laughs. The all-new one-hour season premiere is on Tuesday. And, of course, on ABC. 43 yards in a punt and 13 on the return. That is his shortest punt far and away of the afternoon.
And maybe a little opportunity here for Colorado. Zach Lee now out of the game, so Nebraska, you know, is going to become even more one-dimensional. See if you can't get a little something out of it with the first quote-unquote bad punt.
Close to the first down is Stewart. Dillard making the tackle. Gain of about 9 yards. You can see Lee walking around on the sideline.
That's a good sign if you're a Nebraska fan, because if it were really bad, they'd have ice on it already and starting the treatment.
So second down and short for the Buffaloes. They trail by 14. Little play action. Pass is tipped and is going to be intercepted by guess who? Ndamukong Suh. Now they're saying incomplete, that he did not hold on to the football. But this crowd was ready to celebrate.
And he is upset with himself because he is usually pretty sure-handed. Good.
See, that's Crick.
No, he's so good.
The other defensive tackle, because Suh gets dominated with double teams so much.
Balls, but yeah, came out.
Yeah,
good
sure
call.
did.
Yep.
So Colorado now with a third down at about a yard to pick up the first down. And they go straight ahead with a running play, and they'll have the first down. Rodney Stewart, not very big, but with his quickness, finally Will Compton put a stop on him. But for the Buffaloes, they'll move the chains.
And let's give a little credit to this offensive line for Colorado. They went right at Ndamukong Suh, a double team, and they get him pushed back. Boy, that was a nice job by Miller. Just a good fit up. He had inside help from Stevens, the center. But Miller, a highly recruited young man, nice block on that one.
Brian Lockridge, sophomore, comes into the ball game. Looking, still looking, and now throws it short, and stepping out of bounds after the catch is Dehan.
And this is why Tyler Hansen, when Cody Hawkins was benched, of course, he had 2 interceptions in a row against Texas, 1 return for a touchdown when Hansen came in. But Hansen, more athletic than Hawkins. Hawkins, a shorter guy at 5'9", 5'10", was having trouble with an offensive line that was struggling. But Hansen, a little better athlete, can get outside the pocket and make plays like that.
So they go with the running play. Coming back to the wide side of the field. And Stewart is close to the 35-yard line, which, of course, is enough for the first down. Under 10 minutes to play, third quarter. Matt O'Hanlon, glad to see number 33 back on the field, and I'm sure that Husker fans are as well. On our telecast this year, he now has 4 interceptions, and 1 of those for a touchdown. Under center goes Hansen. And just going to throw this one away. Scotty McKnight, the intended receiver.
And when you have a guy like Ndamukong Suh, you better have a bunch of different ways to get him blocked. And that's a double team with Givens. You better get that hand down, Miller. You get the hand up in the face, but they're rolling out. But that was a nice job by Pierre Allen, who was just outside of Suh, keeping his responsibility on the rollout.
Scotty McKnight, the intended receiver on that last play, had 4 catches in the first half. And as we mentioned, He needs 6 more now to be the all-time leader receiver here from the Buffaloes. Nice move by Hansen. No place to hide this time. He dumps it off, and that's Stewart. And Sumler, I beg your pardon, and Sumler will take it down almost to the first down at the 25-yard line. So it's going to be a 3rd down and short. Amu Kamara finally made the tackle for Nebraska.
And remember when we saw Hansen on the in the first half not feel pressure? This time he does an excellent job. Great move by Sue inside. Saw him out of the corner of his eye and spun out of there. And as we mentioned a moment ago, it's that athleticism that has Hansen as a starting quarterback. What a nice play.
Stewart back into tailback, replacing Sumler. And they hand it off to him straight up the middle with a burst of speed. A gain of 5 at its first down, Buffaloes. Barry Turner tripped him up.
And this is a really nice answer by Colorado. And going at the end of this season, going into next year, the entire key to the growth of this offense is up front. And that was good zone blocking. This drive in particular, other than that one move by Sue when he beat Miller inside, I think they've done a nice job.
So 3 wide receivers, 2 to the bottom of your screen, and now you see the motion. That's Devaney, the tight end, flipping to the right. Hansen looking, now throwing for the end zone. The receiver had run out of bounds, and the hat of the official was thrown over there because he went out of bounds and then came back in.
And this is a very young offensive line. Some very highly recruited guys in there. But they have struggled to play consistently, giving up a lot of sacks. But maybe this is a sign going up against a very good defensive line that they have it in them, something they can build on going into next season.
Stewart and Lockridge in the backfield together this time. And it's going to be an option play. Back to Lockridge. Turns the corner and then steps out of bounds wisely. Let's see, they're going to say out of bounds at the 13-yard line.
And Lockridge, just a sophomore, they've moved him around, played him some at receiver, and you saw the speed right there because that was an option play that Nebraska played almost perfectly, but his speed got the edge. So another guy that they can start to develop and use in different ways.
This is the 11th play of the drive. It all started at their own 41-yard line, but it's 3rd down. They need to take it to the 10-yard line. Hansen overthrown, and a flag comes down.
Yeah, I think they're going to get Alfonso Dennard.
Holding?
Yeah, I believe so. Dennard, who didn't play last week with an ankle.
That pass was really not catchable, but holding certainly is a penalty that will stand here.
Holding on the defense. Number 15. Half the distance. Automatic. First down.
And they're going towards the Nebraska fans, so you hear them screaming their boos. Now you've got 1st and goal. And with Hansen, the way he moves, I would want to roll him out. Your defensive ends for Nebraska now need to know to try to keep contained, because with an athletic quarterback, try to get him to see the field and give him a run-pass option.
That's McKnight, who goes the middle receiver to the right, number 21. Seamus is the man at the top of your screen, but they give it coming back the other way, and Stewart is grabbed by Sue. And folks, that's 305 pounds grabbing 175 pounds, and it doesn't work real well. Don't need physics to figure that one out.
I don't know how much you want to be running between the tackles down here. A lot of bodies around the line of scrimmage. Double team. He's just such a powerful man. Fights off. So athletic. But I'm not sure how much you want to try to be challenging number 93 and number 94 of Nebraska right now.
2nd down and goal from the 6. Hansen looks to the right. McKnight, touchdown.
The adjustment by Scotty McKnight as he runs out. He's looking to his outside shoulder, has to come back to his inside, but he got up limping a little bit, and he's still kind of, he's the holder. He came up earlier. He's got that brace on the right knee. He doesn't look like he's feeling very good right now.
Goodman to attempt the extra point, trying to pull the Buffaloes back to within 7. And he's got it. So our new score, 21-14. Nebraska's lead is shaved to a touchdown. The Eldora Mountain Resort is the closest ski area to the Boulder area, and it's been open for skiing since 1962. By the way, it also boasts Colorado's best snowmaking system with 100% of the groomed terrain and the longest run, which is 3 miles long. Chip thinks so, probably skis up there. Well, Lee has his headgear back on.
And the way he was walking around, he looked, so if he's healthy and you got him spatted up, get him back in.
Well, this is going to be a high spinner and short from the 9-yard line is Paul. Paul stopped finally at the 27-yard line. So ESPN2 has 2 college football games. First at 7 Eastern. It's going to be Pittsburgh taking on West Virginia in the backyard brawl. That's 7 o'clock Eastern time. Then followed at 10 p.m. Eastern, we head out west. Nevada against number 6, Boise State. Something may have to give there, even though that game is on the blue turf. And Lee is back in a quarterback. Zach Lee. Burkhead, the freshman from Plano, Texas, back in the ball game at tailback. And he's going to throw on first down. Paul, nope, throws inside of Paul and has it complete. Ben Cotton with his 3rd reception of the afternoon. Not real long. They take it to the 32-yard line. Anthony Perkins making the stop.
And if I were Nebraska, I would be watching Zach Lee very closely. He obviously very gingerly moving around on that left ankle. I know it's a close game. I know you want to win them all, but you've got a game next week against one of the best swarming defenses in the country. I would not want him to get hurt any more than he already is.
This time he goes under center, and they go from an I formation. And Burkhead straight up the middle, has 5, has 10, and is still churning those legs as he takes it to the 45-yard line. That's going to be a gain of 12 on the play by the freshman.
Look at the acceleration. Just zone blocking, excellent job by Hickman, the center, on the middle linebacker. But that was a freshman who saw a hole and then just he burst. He didn't wait, and I can see why the Nebraska coaches are excited about this young man.
He stays in the ball game at tailback, and they go back to that shotgun formation. But they'll hand it to him again, right up the middle, and in traffic. Going to have 3. Defensively, looks like Forrest West.
West, another one of those true freshmen that Ron Collins has been rotating in on his defensive line. Has good speed.
Not a highly recruited kid, but he has really played well. A true freshman out of Canton, Connecticut.
Came out here for a camp. Got hurt his junior year in high school, so a lot of people backed off of him, and Colorado stayed in and got him.
Audible at the line of scrimmage. Plenty of time on the play clock, though. The flag comes down, and there was movement. So instead of a 2nd down and about 6.
Try the snap. False start. Offense. Number 73. 5-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
And now for our Big 12 update, brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Texas wins last night, 49-39. Colt McCoy, 479 yards. 5 total touchdowns. Had a 65-yard sprint from scrimmage, and certainly did not help him, or didn't hurt himself in front of a national audience. And really a nice game by Gerard Johnson at Texas A&M.
I think maybe the most improved player in the conference, Gerard Johnson, as the season went on.
Out of Humble, Texas, which is just north of Houston. Pass is tipped. And on the break for the ball, playing possum on the play was Jaleel Brown. Had the ball not been tipped, I think he would have intercepted it.
He was sitting there reading it.
He's sitting on this. Look at this.
Way. Lee just doesn't look very comfortable on that ankle. That was Conrad Obie who got his hand up, but I think you're right. Jaleel was standing there thinking, I may take this the other way.
Pre-check is the man who got a hand on it. Obie, by the way, who had that block, had a blocked field goal last week against Oklahoma State. Blitz coming from the outside. Stepping up to throw, not in time. Sacked at the 39-yard line. Chappelle Brown. That is 3 sacks of the quarterback. And how many tackles does Chappelle Brown have now total for the ball game?
Well, Rex Burkhead, the freshman running back, saw him coming. Watch Burkhead try to go over there, but Brown makes a wonderful move to the inside to make the sack. That is 8 tackles for Chappelle Brown. What a great final game for him.
Yeah, for a senior day, that's a heck of an effort. Let's see what Henry does here. Gets it away. Yeah, it's going to turn over. Little high, coming for the sideline. Gathered at the 14. Espinoza. Flag comes down.
They're going to call a block in the back, and I didn't see it. Looked to me like the Colorado player had his head in front of the Nebraska player.
46 yards and a kick and 3 yards on the return.
Yeah, I think they're going to get Josh Hardigan for a block in the back, but it looked like a clean block to me.
There's no foul for a block in the back.
Chappelle Brown on the sideline, senior with 8 tackles today. One of those is sacked. We'll be right back. Welcome back to college football presented by K Jewelers, where our score is Nebraska 21 and the Buffaloes of Colorado 14. Is that a gorgeous shot looking back into the stadium? The sun has finally started to go behind the mountains, so the lights are taking hold. But this is really a beautiful scene. The weather has just been magnificent. Look at this is what I'm talking about. I think a cold front's supposed to come in tonight, and the ski operators are getting excited because Tuesday I think is supposed to be snow in the area. On first down, nothing doing on the running play, and that is Ndamukong Suh, who is just on this play right here, just dominating. Also, Philip Dillard came in. Dillard had a really good ball game against Oklahoma as well, the game that we did.
Well, watch the center. Ends up one-on-one because Suh came inside that time of Miller, and you're just not going to consistently block this guy one-on-one with collegiate offensive linemen. And I think even when he goes to the next level, I'm not so sure that NFL offensive linemen are going to have much luck blocking this guy one-on-one. I really think this is a special talent.
Scotty McKnight back in the ball game, which for Buffalo fans, really good to see. Will Jefferson in motion, and Hansen rolls way back to his right, now throws it away and just throws it over everybody to the 48-yard line. Pierre Allen is the man that was providing the pressure.
And if I were Texas and I was watching the tape of what to do with Ndamukong Suh, the one I'd pop in is what Kansas did. Kansas came in and their offensive line was really struggling, and they had a really good setup where everything was focused towards getting double teams. Colorado's tried that tonight, but he's been a lot more active. And you remember that Kansas game, he only had 2 tackles. So if I were Texas, that's the game I would zero in on how to handle number 93.
In the ball game now, number 34, Cameron Meredith. He is lining up at right defensive end, the redshirt freshman. And Colorado quickly back to the line of scrimmage, and now a timeout has been called.
Timeout, Colorado.
Well, we talked about Suh and the things that make him good.
Well, he's good in every facet of the game. Defending the run, he's got great balance. He uses his hands well. He's got a good burst in rushing the passer. Good moves at the line of scrimmage. So productive. Makes play after play after play and has tons of intangibles. He's a great hustle player. He is very smart. He studies the game, and there is no question about why he is on almost every list you can win. And I wouldn't be surprised at the Home Depot Awards at the end of the season if he doesn't walk away. Well, he's going to need a wheelbarrow to take away some of the hardware I think he's going to walk away with.
Yeah, he could. Interesting young man as well. We were sitting in the video room watching tape just before the day before they played Oklahoma, and he came in and sat down and visited with us. His degree is not a problem. His father is an engineer, and his help me out, Ed.
Construction management.
Construction management, yeah. And a very, very bright young man.
And spent the entire offseason working with Carl Pelini, the defensive coordinator and defensive line coach, learning about the defense.
The whole
everybody
defense.
does.
I want to know what everybody does. That's McKnight in motion. Here comes pressure, throwing back against the grain, and it is caught at the 40. That's Seamus down the sideline, protects the ball and steps out of bounds at the 25-yard line. Hello, new ball game, my friends. Go call your neighbors. This one's not done by a long shot. 2:55 left in the third.
And this was what Colorado was desperately missing at the beginning of the season. Marcus Seamus was suspended for the first 2 ball games for a violation of team rules, and they needed a big, fast receiver. And Seamus, 6'2", 215 pounds, was academically ineligible last year, so just starting to get a feel. And he and Hansen worked very hard together on scout team last year. That's where they got it together.
Longest play of the ball game, 58 yards. Hansen gets his pass away and throws it complete, and that's Devaney, I beg your pardon.
Well, and I think we're starting to see Tyler Hansen feel he looks so much more comfortable here in the second half than he did in the first half. And such a difficult thing for Dan Hawkins to go through. His son Cody, of course, he's had to bench him twice. And he came out this week, Dan Hawkins, and said, if I had to do it all over again, I would not recruit my son. Not because of how hard it's been on me, but how hard it's been on Cody Hawkins and all of the grief he's had to take.
Here comes the pitch back to Stewart. Stewart with a burst of speed in the vicinity of the 17-yard line. Cameron Meredith making the stop for Nebraska.
And now you're in field goal range, and you've got 3rd and short. This, to me, is the opportunity. 3rd and just under 3 yards, where I think a Ryer Gear play action, get your tight end maybe down the seam. I think this is where you maybe try to pop one.
3rd down, line to make the 15. Here comes the play. Blitz off the corner. Picked him up just in time. Now tries to get the ball away, and it is incomplete. And I'm not so sure that Dennard didn't tip the football.
Looked like a fumble to me.
No, he's trying to throw it in. I don't think there's any question about that.
Well, they're going to get him for intentional grounding, which is a huge penalty right here.
Intentional grounding on the offense. Number 9. That's a spot foul. Loss it down.
And a huge penalty. Instead of the ball on the 17-yard line, now you get it at the 34. Never leaves the pocket. Doesn't matter how far you go backwards.
Sue knocked the ball away as he tried to throw it.
But Goodman has not been good on long field goals, 3 of 9 from 40 and beyond. So this is a huge penalty.
52-yard field goal attempt from the near hash mark. Ball is down, got plenty of distance, and that's going to be wide left, no good.
Well, there's another penalty. We had remember the motion by Givens when on that 3rd and 1. We had Solder with the holding call on a 1st down, made it 3rd and forever, and now Hansen gets a intentional grounding, and Goodman can't convert.
Well, you know, to me there is a really good question. I don't want to argue with these guys in the stripes. They're right there and they see it. But to get intentional grounding called when you're being hit and harassed,
yep.
And the ball, your hand is hit, the ball is hit, and it comes out, you know, watch this right here. And this, by the way, look at the agility of a 300-pound guy. Sue, it just continuing to come, and as he throws it, as much as anything,
I think it was a fumble.
I would have argued that it was a fumble rather than an intentional grounding.
Yeah, I thought right away it was a fumble. And Colorado.
Let me ask you this, though. What was he doing under center? Why wasn't he up in a shotgun?
Get away from that.
Big opening. Helou going to take it for the 1st down up to the 45-yard line. That's Chappelle Brown who makes the tackle.
And if they would have called that a fumble, an offensive lineman from Colorado recovered it about 7 yards in front, gets Goodman a little closer, who has had massive struggles. Maybe he has a little more confidence, and he hits it to go up 21-17. So either way, a bad deal for Colorado. I looked at like a fumble to me.
9 tackles now for Brown, and that is the last play of the third quarter. So for the seniors here in Boulder, the final 15 about to come up as the clock is down to 3, 2, and 1. So we head to the fourth quarter. Nebraska 21-14 over Colorado. Thank you, the ladies from Nebraska, the cheering squad. Nebraska, Colorado, Folsom Field, Ron Franklin along with Ed Cunningham. And the numbers, Sue, 5 tackles and a sack. And for Colorado, Brown, 10 tackles and a sack in the ballgame. How about that? From the 45-yard line, 1st and 10 for the Cornhuskers. And Helu will take it forward for about 4.5 yards.
Well, they're scrumming like there was a fumble at the bottom of that
sure
pile.
Are. And Colorado saying that they have it. It looked like just a very vanilla play, and he was being tackled there, and all of a sudden you can see.
Unreal.
They're going to give it to him.
What a flip.
Herod comes away with the football. I beg your pardon, 98 rather than 90.
And that was Will Precheck, the defensive tackle who was in there fighting. Looked like he had a piece of Halu's face mask. But Garay comes up with it. Won't be surprised if we review this, because it looked like Halu's knee was awfully close to being down before that ball came out.
Sophomore out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, 6'1", 300 pounds, Eugene Garay.
What a huge turn of events for Colorado.
Colorado right back on offense. Running play, Stewart, look how quick. Cuts it outside, gets a block from his quarterback inside the 30, and still going all the way to the 21. He's right in front of the cheering section, and the noise has just gone up a few decibels.
What a great job by Tyler Hansen. All he's doing is running out his fake. It's a zone read look, and he's running out his fake, and he sees Stewart, so he takes off down the field, and watch the block he gets on Larry Asante. Not much, but Asante had to adjust his angle and has to come over and make the tackle a little bit later. That was a nice job by Hansen.
So it is a first down at the Husker 21-yard line. 7-point ball game. Stewart stopped at the line of scrimmage, not going anywhere. Well, John Saunders, you got a final on Alabama-Auburn, I understand.
Ron, we do indeed in this Sports Center in-game. Greg McElroy here, 4 yards passing to Roy Upchurch. They go for the 2-point conversion, no good. Chris Todd going deep on the Hail Mary last play, and Alabama's undefeated going to the SEC championship game.
Well, I have a feeling at that time Auburn did want to Upchuck. Ball is tipped and almost intercepted by Nebraska. Intended for Seamus, and that was Gomes who was right there.
Now you're in that same spot that Colorado was in their last drive, 3rd and long. And you've had the intentional grounding, which didn't look like the right call on the play. However, backed up Goodman for that field goal. But I would not want to see Hansen standing in this pocket. Maybe a draw to Stewart or a screen over to the right.
3rd down. They need to take it to the 11-yard line. Down by 7, 21-14. Swings it out too tall for Stewart, trying to lob it over the defense. And that was Barry Turner, who was out there covering on the play, had dropped off from his defensive end position.
And this has not been a strength for Colorado, the kicking game on field goals. Unbelievably, Eric Goodman and Hansen just came off of that too soon. He had 3 receivers running beyond the sticks, and he went to Stewart too soon.
Well, this one's going to be placed down at the 27-yard line, a 37-yard attempt just inside that left hash mark. Eric Goodman, good pass, and he missed this one.
Unreal.
So let's take a timeout. 13:35 left in our ball game. 21-14. The score remains.
And that's Ryan Awida on the left, the backup walk-on kicker, former soccer player at the University of Denver, warming up. You've got to give him a shot. Eric Goodman is just not in it right now.
Looking to throw and just going to throw this one away. Zach Lee doing the smart thing there. Instead of connecting with Niles' ball, he was too well covered. 7-point ball game. We still got 13:27 to play. If you're Nebraska this half, 14 plays, 45 yards, 2 punts, and 1 turnover. 2nd down and 10. Burkhead remains in the ball game. This time Legate comes in at fullback to provide some blocking for him. He takes it right up the middle and is going to have a gain of about 6 yards, and a flag is down.
Yeah, they're going to get B.J. Beatty for jumping into the neutral zone there.
Offside on the defense. Number 59. That's a 5-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
Just if you're Dan Hawkins, and of course if you're just joining us and don't know, Dan Hawkins was granted at least another year as the head coach of Colorado this morning, but just so frustrating. His team is giving great effort, and it's just continual mistakes and penalties. Instead of a 3rd and long, you give them a 2nd and 5, just continually hurting themselves.
This time Lee will go under center. Burkhead, the freshman, behind him at tailback. And he's in the deep set, and they hand it off to him. And he cuts it up and is open. 30, 35, and now out to the 40-yard line. A huge first down. 15 yards on the running play by Burkhead.
Watch this offensive line. Hickman, the center. They're all blocking back. What a crushing block by Ricky Henry, the right guard who pulled around. That's called a power play. Everyone blocks down, tries to get double team. You pull that backside guard, and Henry just blew up the hole.
1st down and 10 from their own 40-yard line. They lead it 21-14, and Burkhead straight ahead. And he's going to have a gain of 6 yards in the play. Will Precheck will make the stop. Redshirt freshman out of right here in Boulder. Precheck was a defensive end, and they moved him inside. And anytime you do that, rather than taking a defensive tackle and moving him out, that normally means you're slowing down a little bit. But you move him from the speedier position inside. It's always a better situation for the defense if it can be handled. 2nd down and 4. Clock now under 12 minutes to play. And it's going to be Burkhead again. High stepping. It's a good thing he did pick up his feet. He didn't get caught in traffic there. But as he hurdles the man at the 50-yard line, Bonsu will make the stop. But that's enough for the 1st down.
And what a good job by Burkhead holding on to the ball at the very end there. Chappelle Brown, who's played a sensational game because Burkhead was going down, was doing everything he could to rip that ball out. And Burkhead, a true freshman, put both hands on it. And that's exactly what Bo Pelini likes to see with this drive. Eat the clock. Don't turn it over.
First time that they've crossed the 50-yard line since their missed field goal. Burkhead again, nothing left. Takes it to the right. And stopped after about 3. We'll catch an all-new Flash Forward on ABC next Thursday. Alliances will be made, faith will be tested, and trust will be broken on their amazing new episode. ABC's Flash Forward on Thursday, 8 o'clock, 7 Central. Helou comes into the ball game at tailback, spelling the freshman Burkhead. Helou right up the middle, puts the head down inside the 40, down to the 37-yard line, and he picks up the 1st down by a half-yard. Benjamin Burney on the stop. Nice job by Hickman and also Ricky Henry blocking.
And this offensive line has gained so much confidence. Go back to midseason when we looked at some film of this offensive line, and of course without Helou healthy because of that shoulder, they were plugging guys in. They had some injuries, but this offensive line has been gaining a lot of confidence down the stretch here.
This career high for Burkhead, 66 total yards in this ball game. Helou, nothing this time. Boy, he gets whacked back down.
And now this is exactly the way Nebraska has been drawing it up since midseason. They were trying to plug in a million different things, what type of offense they could run. And this is what they went to after that Iowa State game where they had 8 turnovers. The whole staff sat down and said, what do we have to do? And, of course, getting Roy Halou healthy, and now Rex Burkhead is back. Look at this clock just being melted away with this drive.
Under 10 minutes to play. This is the 8th play of the drive. Nebraska leads it 21-14. Burkhead again. Inside the 35 to the 32-yard line. Anthony Perkins.
I like the looks of this young freshman, Burkhead. He's got good patience. He's got great acceleration. You're in Alex Henry territory for a field goal here. I would think Burkhead gets it again between the tackles.
And if you don't go there, Mike McNeil has just come back in the ballgame at tight end, number 44. And he is lining up in a slot to the left side, and it looks as though, Colorado wants to call a timeout on this 3rd down play. So we'll take it with them. 21-14. Huskers on top. Located close to downtown Boulder, Flagstaff Mountain offers climbing and hiking trails with sweeping views, as you can see right there, of the city of Boulder. 3rd down. They need to take it to the 28-yard line. Looking, throws his pass, got it complete, and that's Paul. Niles Paul.
Well, we saw that exact same play earlier, and you said before we went to break, Mike McNeil was the guy to look at. Watch McNeil. He's going to run an out cut.
Scrapes off of him.
And right underneath him, he's running a corner, but right underneath of him, timing it up, is Niles Paul running the slant. And again, Zach Lee, that's 2 times in this game that he's thrown a perfect ball on that exact route.
And you see this drive, 7 rushes, 43 yards. Burkhead 5 carries on this drive, make it 6. Cuts it back in the middle, and I'll tell you what, he's got good vision. He's also got great determination. Beatty finally stops him, but that's almost another 1st down. John Saunders in New York, let's check with you.
And our AT&T All-America Player of the Week update. How about Tony Pike of Cincinnati? 32 of 46 for 399 yards and 6 touchdowns, a school record in a big win today over Illinois. Text vote to 345-345 from your mobile phone to vote and for a chance to win a trip to the national championship game. Ron, back to you.
Hey, thanks, John. 2nd down and short for Nebraska. Burkhead again. Boy, it's a quick cut. He cuts it right back into the middle. It's a 1st down at the 11-yard line.
Absolutely no wasted steps. When he sees it, he puts 1 foot in the ground, cuts and goes. He has good acceleration. He's got good vision. He runs hard, tough. This young man's got a nice, bright future ahead of him. And now you've got him with complimenting Roy Halou. This is an awfully good backfield that middle of the season was gone for Nebraska with injury.
12th play of the drive. It all started back at the 20-yard line. Zach Lee, Burkhead. He's going to wind up with close to 4 yards on that play.
Yeah, still 21-14, but this is one of those drives that feels like a definitive statement in a ball game. So the question becomes, as you start getting ready for the Big 12 championship, will Burkhead and Halou be able to find some space against Texas's defense, which swarms to the ball a little different than what they practice against at Nebraska. More different looks, blitzes, things like that.
2nd down, 2 tight ends. Burkhead, right side, he'll score. Touchdown, Huskers.
Watch the size of the hole. Well, Burkhead got he got a little lucky. He didn't get called for movement before that snap. Got up on his heels, but look at the size of that hole. The right side of that offensive line. DJ Jones in there for Marcel Jones, and Ricky Henry, the right guard. He's starting to look like a good, powerful blocker.
55 yards on this drive on 9 carries, and he still maintains an average of over 6 yards per try as Henry hits the extra point and knocks it home, and we have got a 28-14 ball game. One more look as we head to break. Rex Burkhead, and what a mammoth gaping hole, good for 6. Wow. So we are back 28-14, our new score, with 6:43 left in our ball game, and you're looking to the eyes of Brian Lockridge.
Well, they need a big play out of him. They got one last week, a 98-yarder against Oklahoma State, to take the lead back in the second half.
Adi Kunalik prepares to kick it off for the Cornhuskers. This one's going to be at the goal line. Lockridge. Well, time now to take a look at our city inside view.
Well, let's take an inside view of Ndamukong Suh and how powerful and fluid an athlete he is. Watch, he takes the center Stevens, throws him out of his way, trying to double team with Miller, the right guard. But watch the change of direction, the balance, knocks the ball out of the hand. Of course, this was called intentional grounding. Looked like a fumble, but this, he's got power. He's a smooth athlete. He's got explosive ability.
Well, the amazing thing is, he said he outgrew it, but where he learned his athleticism is in soccer. And that's where he has such good feet. Far sideline, little wheel route, and it's that's Asante, Nate.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, Asante is the man that I'm sure the officials didn't agree, but he's the man who hit with the headgear down against Reesing in a Kansas game. His same man that stood over the Oklahoma player that got almost knocked out in that ball game. You're putting your hands up, son, but you have a real history. I'm sorry.
Personal foul. Illegal hit on the defenseless player. Number 4 on the defense. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
And I think should have been ejected. The player is out of bounds. He goes in, targets a defensive player at the shoulders or above. Remember, you don't have to lead with the helmet. Even if that was inbounds, when a player is defenseless, you cannot target them at their shoulders or above. And at some point, when a player has propensity to do this, we've got to start kicking him out of ball games.
Lockridge at tailback. Hansen now looking and throws it, and it is complete at the 42-yard line. Scotty McKnight, what is it now? 7 catches for him. 7 catches, 3 more, and he would become the all-time leading receiver for the Colorado Buffaloes.
And now Colorado going fast because that clock got eaten alive by Nebraska.
From the shotgun. Good protection. Deep over the middle. The ball is incomplete, and now a flag comes in. And it's going to be Compton. They're going to call pass interference. Ryer Gear, the intended receiver. Ryer, another one of the seniors. He's out of Grand Junction, Colorado.
There's Gear in the slot. And this is Compton has to go through him to make the play.
On the defense.
Well, I don't know.
Number 51.
That looked like pretty good defense to me.
With an automatic first down.
5:55 left to play in our ball game. Buffaloes trying to come down, see if they can cut it to 7 again. Demetrius Sumler, a junior out of San Diego, comes into the ball game at tailback. Where's number 8? Well, that's going to be overthrown. McKnight, the intended receiver.
Kind of feel like, Dan Hawkins, of course, with his background at Boise State, all that offense they used to run up there. Of course, he lost Mark Helfrich, his offensive coordinator, to Oregon late in the spring. And that's one of the things that he's been fighting for. And now that they've given him another year, none of his coaches are under contract. And he wants that type of backing. He says, if you're going to require all of this from us, we're going to need some backing. And something they're going to have to clear up.
2 tight ends in the ball game, 2 wide receivers, and here comes pressure. That was from Crick. Now he's going to run it at the 40 and gets out of bounds at the 38. Dennard defensively.
And I think Colorado, they're trying to get the personnel they want, get going. The clock will start as soon as the ball is set and ready. I think they can get, I'm not sure why they're huddling. I think they should be going all no huddle, hurry up here, down 2 touchdowns.
5:34 and counting left in the ball game. 28-14 Nebraska. Pass, got the middle screen, got a blocker. That's Seamus and one man. And that is Asante, who will make the tackle for the Huskers, not before a gain of 23 yards to the 15.
Well, as hard as this is, Seamus needs to be just a touch more patient. He's got Stevens, the center, out there. If he slows down just half a beat, even if the center can't go get Asante, he can run behind him and make it up.
Under 5 minutes now. That's McKnight in motion. He's going to call a timeout. It's final timeout of the ball game for them. We will be right back. So we're back in Boulder, Folsom Field. 28-14 is our score with 4:52 left in the ball game, and so far for Colorado in the red zone. This half they scored a touchdown, and then they missed a field goal, and then missed a second field goal.
Well, the good news is you're not going to try a field goal. It's
That's
touchdown
exactly
or
right.
bust here.
Yeah. So they got 4 downs right here to take it to the 5 to pick up another first down. And Sumler, who was a larger back in the ball game, replacing Stewart. Sumler's 215. Pass is caught. That's Seamus. And nice defensive play. Amukamara is right there to make the stop on Marcus Seamus. And they are right back at the line of scrimmage. 2nd down and 10. Here comes Sue. Throws this one. Incomplete. Scotty McKnight trying to help him out, coming back toward his quarterback.
Yeah, and the
nobody's booing. That's Sue.
Yeah. The Nebraska coaches are losing their mind because a holding call by left tackle Solder was completely missed on Cameron Meredith. They wanted them backed up for a hold. And you know, you mentioned 4 downs. They are in 4 down territory because they have to score. So I think a slip screen to a receiver here and try to get something. I just don't think sitting in the pocket is going to work right now with this pass rush.
Carl Pelini, defensive coordinator for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Remember, Colorado has no timeouts left. Clock is stopped right now at 4:23, and a flag comes down. It's going to be delay of ball game.
And now you've got 3rd and 15. Again, need to get inside the 5 for the first down. Maybe a quarterback draw. You want to cut this in half. Get to a 4th and 5 or 6. You don't want to be at 4th and 15.
Well, they were going to come to the sideline, and that's when Hawks said stay on the field because the clock, as soon as they step it off, starts counting again. It's down to 3, down to 2, and movement this time to the right tackle.
Well, those aren't Sues, those are boos.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
And they should be.
Boy.
Both the right guard and right tackle moving before the snap.
Right over the middle, almost intercepted. It's going to be 4th down. Ryer Gear, the intended receiver.
All right, so 4th and 20. 5-yard line's the first down. This is not an easy call for an offensive coordinator. But to me, you have to move Hansen. The wide side of the field is to the left. He's better to his right, but it's almost like a Hail Mary situation because you have to get someone the ball, I think, beyond the sticks. This defense too fast, too good, I think, to try anything short of the sticks. So move your quarterback out to give him some time.
Fourth down. Got to take it to the 5-yard line. And a timeout called by Nebraska. Well, while we got this timeout, let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. And the three gentlemen who have been the National Defensive Players of the Week at a separate time this year, you see what they have done in this ball game today, and it just it makes you have an idea of what the kind of contest you're going to see in Dallas next Saturday against the Texas Longhorns when Texas faces off with this Nebraska team. Three defensive players that are very, very special at what they do. And of course, Texas has got a bunch of defensive players that are very special at what they do.
And I think for Nebraska to have a chance in that ball game, it's all going to be on Sue and Crick in the middle. Texas's offensive line has been a little up and down this year. They played pretty well last night, opened some huge holes with Colt McCoy, and that was a little wrinkle, the run game with the quarterback that we really hadn't seen much, and McCoy goes for 175 rushing last night. So to me, that will be the absolute.
You know what? The only thing I'm not arguing with, but Ed, when you're 12-0, you can hardly say that they're up and down and scoring almost the scoring leader in the nation. Fourth down. Going to go long, and it's going to be picked off. Duvaney didn't even have a shot at it. Amukamara all the way back to the near sideline and steps out of bounds at the 47-yard line. Three turnovers against the Buffaloes.
And Hansen just threw that one up for grabs. They were trying to get gear long. Amukamara had backed up. A great call by Carl Pelini, the defensive coordinator. He had the coverage was perfect. Amukamara is back deep, not letting anybody get there, and just reads this. It's almost like a punt. But there was just a young quarterback not seeing the field really well at that time.
John Saunders, let's check in with you in New York City.
On with this Sports Center right now, brought to you by Best Buy. As we reported earlier, Tiger Woods was released from a hospital after a minor car accident just outside his house. He was treated for face lacerations and then released from the hospital. Meanwhile, Alabama stays unbeaten. They'll go to the SEC Championship against Florida. Greg McElroy, 4-yard touchdown pass to Roy Upchurch. That's the difference.
Okay, John, thanks very much. We only have 3:43 left in this ball game, and for Nebraska, they start pointing toward the Big 12 championship next Saturday night in Dallas, Texas. Bo Pelini, second year as the head coach for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and you know they've come a long way in a lot of areas. But as he preached to his team all week long this week, he said, we're improved in a lot of spots, but we're not good enough to overlook anybody. And let's don't go into Boulder and just spoil the whole party and get upset. And they have taken care of business here, when they have needed to.
Bo Pelini put a gag order on anybody talking about Texas this week around the office, anywhere. He said everyone else can talk about it. We're not.
Well, not really the victory formation, but pretty close to it with two tight ends and two wings. And the running play will go straight ahead to the 48-yard line. Well, a reminder, Saturday night, ABC and ESPN2 deliver two full national games. First of all, it's going to be Notre Dame needing a big win. They face off against Stanford, and Georgia against number 7 Georgia Tech. So tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific time, ABC HD, and ESPN2. And, of course, that one also HD. Presented by Southwest Airlines. Third down, Burkhead gets the ball, and he will cut it up the middle. Got to be fourth down, and they'll need about 2 yards for the first. See, the game clock is at 2:15.
Well, make no doubt about it that the impact that Carl Pelini and Bo Pelini have had on this team. When you go back to 2007, Colorado scored 65 points on this defense. Kansas scored 76 points on this defense, and with a lot of the same players. And Ndamukong Suh, Amukamara, O'Hanlon, with a lot of those same players. Look at the improvement defensively. They still have a little ways to go offensively, but at least they found an identity in what they like to do.
No question about that. No question. And now moving up under center. Is that Ben Cotton? No.
That was Ryan
and
Hill.
Ryan Hill, the sophomore out of Arvada, Colorado. And looking as though they were going to snap the ball to him and have a fake punt.
You know what they were doing?
Trying to draw him offside.
Yep, exactly. That was a wonderful little trick there, because it doesn't matter. Back up 5, it gives Henry a little more room to sky it or get an angle and try to pin Colorado deep. That was a nice try by Nebraska.
Well, here's the kick, and boy, it is a really good one. Going to hit deep in the end zone. A little better than he probably wanted. Now, speaking of Texas, last night down at College Station, Colt McCoy, 65-yard run from scrimmage here, and proving that he not only can throw the football, but that he also has really good speed.
And, you know, obviously his Heisman hopes went way up last night, a huge national stage. But I also think late in the season that his stock has gone up as an NFL prospect as well. All those struggles and him keeping it together. And a look at these two teams that'll square off next Saturday night. But let's not forget, the last great defense that Texas played against was Oklahoma. That was a long time ago in Dallas in the Red River. So it'll be interesting. I think they're much improved offensively, Texas is, than when they played against Oklahoma.
Double teamed 29 out of 64 plays today in Ndamukong Suh.
Might not have been enough.
It's probably not a season high in him either, is it?
No.
Clock stops momentarily. 59 seconds left. Well, you could read his lips when he said false start Colorado. 59 ticks left on the clock in this one.
What a nice crowd for Nebraska.
Yeah,
you always hear that, you know, they travel well. I don't know that any program travels better than Nebraska.
You know, same thing. Hansen. Suh is after him, and he just throws it away. One of the things about these two defensive tackles, as large as they are and as active as they are, they make half of their tackles either that far from the line of scrimmage or sideline to sideline, from one side, from the hash mark all the way inside the hash mark on the other side of the field. They never stop running.
With the speed that Texas has on the outside with Marquise Goodwin and those guys, they're going to get a workout next Saturday night.
Pass thrown complete, and that is Seamus on the receiving end. Clock stops at 40 seconds.
And for Colorado and Dan Hawkins, who found out this morning that he would be returning as the coach for Colorado next year, some things to build on. You know, they went toe-to-toe for 2.5 quarters with Texas. Great comeback against A&M. Went toe-to-toe with Nebraska here. They've just got to get over the hump with some of these mistakes.
Going to go on top, far sideline, and it's intended for Seamus. It'll stop the clock at 34 seconds.
You know, the scary thing, we met with Bo Pelini before the Oklahoma game, and even though they lose Suh, they lose Asante, they lose O'Hanlon, he said we may be better on defense, and it was because Steinkuhler, who you mentioned earlier, Meredith, they've got some defensive backs they're redshirting they really like, and his system's really taken hold.
Second down and 10. Here comes pressure, and the screen is dropped. Sumler dropped the football, and Steinkuhler was the man who was applying the pressure. Interesting that Baker, they wanted him like his father did. They wanted him to be an offensive lineman, and he said, nope. I want to start off on defense, and he continued to improve so rapidly on defense. They said, okay, young man, we're going to leave you on the defensive side of the ball. And what they see so far with his size, agility, and speed, he really gives them an impactful situation there, playing at tackle. Finally got it away, and it is caught at the 45-yard line. Seamus came back and made the grab. Clock stops with 13 seconds. That has to be the longest play of the ball game as far as time. You know, and as they come to the line of scrimmage, I'm going to say with 13 seconds left, to this absolutely wonderful and talented crew who's been away from their family during the holidays, we thank you, young men and young women. You do an absolutely fantastic job. Without you, none of this would succeed, and we appreciate your efforts. This one is tipped. Now, Bassanti could not grab it for it to hit the ground. 2 seconds is all we have left on the clock.
I'm really looking forward to next Saturday night. Just the way that Nebraska plays defense. I'm not sure how consistently they're going to be able to move the ball against what is arguably the best defense in the country in Texas because of the secondary. I think the advantage, I think, goes to Texas because of Earl Thomas and Blake Gideon. Earl Thomas just playing on another planet right now. But it'll be a really entertaining ball game.
Last play of the ball game, unless we have a penalty. They're throwing not really a Hail Mary. He's got 2 people out there. Caught by McKnight, and he's got to score. Unbelievable. No time left on the clock. Bo is not happy, and I imagine Carl Pelini is even less happy than his brother.
And you know what? Not a bad way for Colorado to end their season.
56 yards.
I believe that's the longest play of the season for them from scrimmage. So you go into the offseason, okay, you lose 28-21, but at least you have something positive to go in and get focused and try to get yourself over 500 next year.
Awida comes in to attempt the extra point. Ryan Awida, he is the backup place kicker. Cody Hawkins is the holder. Good look at Scotty McKnight.
He's gutted out a nice performance today. He had that.
He's got 7 catches today.
Yeah, so he'll have to go into his senior year to overtake Michael Westbrook as the leading receiver in Colorado history.
Extra point does not have to be contested, and here comes the referee, and this one is history.
Well, I think they can start talking about Texas now, can't they?
Yes. Yep, they can. This one is now history. Our final score is Nebraska 28 and Colorado 20. Now let's head back to our Times Square studio with John Saunders and Jesse Palmer.